and it's turned into a better day. It was pouring with rain this morning, but it seems to be much, much better now, which is great. So I've got loads of stuff on here I'm going to show you. I've got a lovely card to show you. Hopefully this is all working. I just need to get the chat up so I know if anybody's there. Then please, if you are there, say hello. I run a little craft business using Stampin' Up products. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator, an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, which means I use all Stampin' Up products, and I use them because they are so good. And if you are joining me today, I'll tell you again at the end as well. But at the moment, from now until the end of this month, I'm having a bog off event on my website shop. So if you go to my website and go to the shop bit, you'll see retired items, and everything in there is a bog off. So if you buy one stamp set at £8, you can get another one for free. You can't order them through the website. You need to email me at carol@craftycarolscards.co.uk, and I will sort out the payment, just because I can't actually work out how to do the bog off in the system because I'm not clever enough. Unfortunately, I'm not very technical, and that is definitely beyond my skills. So you have to send me a list of the items you want and the bog off items that match that you want. So that's just to remind you about that. Please do let me know if you are watching. We are here on a lovely Tuesday afternoon for my usual Craft with Carol live, and today is actually the blog hop day. Hello, Margaret, lovely to see you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person on Thursday. That'll be lovely with your daughter-in-law. That'd be lovely. So yes, looking forward to that. Today is, yes, it's Tech for Stampers Blog Hop Day, and each month for the Blog Hop we actually get a subject in which to make the card. So our theme this month is no images, just words. And I struggled a little bit with that. So let me just swap to my desk view. I can remember how to do that. I think that does it. No, obviously didn't. Try again. Yeah, there we go. So here's my desk view. That's not very straight, is it? Why isn't it straight? Oh, I don't know where it is now. Hang on, just move that across so it's actually showing my whole desk. Ooh. I can get it straighter. I think we're just about there. Back a bit. Up, down, back a bit. Reminds me of that program. I don't know. Only people who are as old as me will remember. But we had there was a program called The Golden Shot, and but nobody says old enough as me, and you might not remember it. But it was on. It was. I can't remember who it was. Was it Bob Monkhouse? I can't remember. But the program was all about people, members of the public coming and earning surprises and earning prizes by getting a bolt shot at a target, and they had to describe where to do it. So left a bit, right a bit, up, down, etc., and then fire. And that reminds me of trying to get my camera straight on this desk. But anyway, hopefully you can see the desk now. And this is the card that I actually came up with. So we're going to make a similar card, not the same, but it has no images, just words. I actually did cheat slightly because I did put an image inside, and I also put an image on the envelope because I don't want to put words on an envelope. I'm going to write an address, for heaven's sake. So yeah, so I did cheat a little bit inside, but on the front, I definitely just use words. So I'm going to show you how I made this card and the products I used. Let me just put that to one side for a minute. I've used this Hooray for Surprises set, which is just beautiful. It's a gorgeous set. It's got lovely sentiments, lots of birthday type sentiments, and various different images. And it also has a set of dies. Oh, I've got one just here actually. And one of the dies cuts out a pull open tab. So you can have the heart shape and it actually pulls open. So you can put a little message inside and then the shape just fits back across it. I've forgotten I got that in there, so at least you could see that working. These are the dies. You've got the one that cuts out the tab, the inside one, a little patterned heart one with dots in it, and then the cake stand itself, two more different tabs, round tabs that will go around the flower and things, a pull tab. You've got the flower die itself, another flower die that doesn't match any of the stamps, but it cuts out a flower centre, and another little tiny stamp die which does fit that little tiny flower stamp. You can see it's a well-used set just from the staining on the stamps. Hi, Anne, lovely to see you. I'm glad you could join us. So I'm using this set for the words rather than the images because, as I said, the subject for the blog hop this week is no images, just words, which I think is hard. But anyway, this is what I came up with. So we're going to make it today in a different in different colours. So I used here in the original one, that one that's going to be up on the blog, I used fresh freesia and basic white for those. So I'm going this time with Pretty in Pink, one of the new in colours, and Very Vanilla, because I don't use Very Vanilla often enough. I need to use it more. The other thing I've used is this embossing folder, So Swirly. It's one of the new ones. And the new embossing folders, I didn't realise this till they arrived, but they're huge. Look at the size of them. So they'll actually fit a 5x7 card quite happily. In fact, it may even be half of A4. Let me just try it against A4. Yeah, it would. It would fit half of A4, so you could, if you're making big cards, we've finally got some big embossing folders with them. You do need the full-sized cut and emboss machine to work them, though. They're not the 3D ones, they're thin, but they're big, so they need the width. It doesn't fit in the small mini machine. The other thing I'm using some ribbon. So I've just got some plain vanilla ribbon here. I think this is still available, but I've rather lost track of ribbons since they went into the new catalogue. So anyway, I am going to use some of that. And I'm also using the Thoughtful Expressions dies, just 2 of these rectangle dies for my sentiment in the middle. So how to make the card. I'll give you the measurements, but I'm going to also show you the easy way to do the things, because I'm all for easy ways. So I've got an envelope, so I'll leave that to the side because I will actually probably stamp some sort of image on that. Then I've got my normal size card base, which is 21 by 14.8, scored at 10.5, or in inches, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. So that's the normal card base. So I'll just actually fold it so the cut side goes inwards. That's better. And then just use my bone folder just to confirm that crease, because we want a decent crease in it. So that's my card base. Then we need a layer, a pretty pink layer. And I haven't got the pretty pink layer. I missed that. So I need those 2. Let me just cut a pretty pink layer. Oh, goodness me. Not with it at all today, so I can show you because I'll cut it now. So the pretty pink layer is the normal first layer in a card, which is 14.3. So I'm measuring along the top. Actually, I should measure the other way. 14.3 by 10. So I'll measure 10 here, and I can cut 14.3 the other way, and that'll give me my layer. I thought I had all my bits cut, and I obviously didn't. See. So there's my layer. So I need to be careful to make sure I've got those right, because that's my layer. And then I've got 2 slightly smaller layers. And these are both the same size. And these are 9.5 by 13.8, or 3 3/4 by 5 inches. This layer in inches, by the way, I should have said 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So these 2, you want one of the same colour as your layer and one the same colour as your base card. So if you're using basic white, then obviously these are white, just like my original one, and then the colour, the 2 of the colour. So we're going to cut these panels, and I thought I'd show you the easy way to do it. I'll give you the measurements, but there's an easy way to do this. So this one we're not cutting, that's the layer that's going to stay straight, but the colour layer we need to cut. And we're going to cut this. We need 4 bits, and they each need to be, get this right. I did write this down somewhere. There we go, yes. 4 3/4 centimetres by 3.45 centimetres. So we're going into the half. On the trimmer here, you've got the centimetres at the top. So we're going in between the little marks on there. So we're going, and the reason is we want to cut this exactly in half. And this is 9.5 centimetres. So we need to go to 4 3/4. So 4 3/4 is 4.75. So I want to put the edge of my card between the 2 marks at the top. I don't know if you can see that. Can I take that a bit closer to the camera so you can see it? Hopefully it'll get into, yeah. So we're right between those little marks. Hopefully you can see that. So it's 4.75. So we're going to cut that. That cuts it exactly in half. And then we're going to cut the 4 panels. And these are deep. So we've got the whole thing is 13.8. So you divide that by 4. I've done the maths for you. It comes out as 3.45. If you work working in inches, it's 1 1/4 inches wide by 1 7/8 inches long. So I'm working in centimetres, so I need to go to, what am I doing? No, I get this right, 3.45, yeah. 3.45, which is just below, so it's in the middle bit of the two lines between the 3.5 and 3.4. So I'm going just below that, and I'll cut that. And we do that several times, so we should have 4 panels. So if you cut the big panel, you can just cut this in half. You can make 2 cards with it, because obviously you can use the other half to make another card if you wish. So those are my panels, which are going to go on the card like that. You can see, whoops, bring that in properly. You can see how they're going to fit, just like that. But because we've cut them from the piece that's the same size, then we know we've got a big enough bit. Then we need 2 scraps, and the scraps need to be big enough just to fit the dies that you're using. So I'm using the 2 smallest Thoughtful Expressions dies. So we just need them big enough for that. So they're approximately 7x4 for the small one and approximately 8x5 centimetres for the second. In inches, that is 1.5 by 2.5 or 2 by 3.5 for the 2 sizes. So hopefully that makes it all obvious. All of it's written on the blog. So if you can't remember all of these sizes, don't worry, it's all in the blog, which will be published at 6 o'clock because our blog hops are always published then. So you'll have to wait a little bit, I'm afraid. So I am going to do the cutting out, but I'm going to stamp this piece first with my centre image. So let me get my stamp set and get organised here. So I'm going to stamp the middle bit, which is, I'm going to use the same as before, which is Hope Your Birthday is Wonderful, on my very, very stained stamp, sadly. Oh, and I've done it again. I've forgotten to get my blocks out, which are behind here. So excuse me a second while I just get them out. I'll get one block out because I need one. There we go. And I also haven't got any ink. What ink should I use? Pretty in Pink. Do I want to use that? I think I want to use a contrasting colour. So I think I'm going to go for, I think I'm going to use Petunia Pop. It's another of the ink colours. And then I'm going to use Pretty in Pink for the background ones, so they look slightly different, because I think it'll just stand out better. So these are 2 of the new ink colours. Petunia Pop I love because it's a near sort of pinky purple, and as you can tell from what I'm wearing, purple is one of my favourite colours. So I'm going to stamp my nice new inky pads. So they're going to be quite inky, so I'm not going to press too hard with my stamp. Always be careful with very inky pads. I can't see the ink on it because of the staining, but we'll be fine. So I'm going to stamp that in the middle of my bit. There we go. Let's set my cloth out, because with any dark colour, I like to clean the stamp fairly quickly. You wouldn't know it from looking at the staining on this stamp, but I do. Try and get some of that other staining off, but I don't think I can. I think it's well dried on now. Never mind. So that's going to be my centre sentiment. And then I'm going to use my Pretty in Pink for the sentiments, the words that I'm going to stamp onto the front. So let me do the cutting out of this first. Getting in a mess here. Let me just get myself sorted. I need to get that out of the way. And I'm going to use the 2 other things, which is You're the Best and Make a Wish. So I'll get those stamps out ready. Just put them over there for a minute, so I can move that and have plenty of room here. Oh, I need the dies. Oh, I got them. They're there. Maybe I'm not with it today. Okay, so I'm just going to reach my machine. And my cutting mats. This is my mini cut and emboss machine, because I can use that without wandering across halfway across the room. If only I can clear the desk enough to find the space, but I can do that. And when you get these machines, and this works for the big one as well, do make sure that you have one mat that you use, one of the cutting mats that you use to cut down into, and the other one on top. Because once this one does run out, because when it has enough cuts on it, this one's getting overused, but it's still plenty of cutting on it. I can obviously turn it over and use the other side. So I've got that as soon as this gets, in fact, I'll start doing that now. Turn it over and use the other side. And then when that's completely cut and damaged, I can swap over and use this plate instead. So it just gets the most out of your machines, which is important. They're expensive, so you do want to make sure you're using them. And remember, when you're using this, you want to just overlap the edges of the of the die, of the plates that you're using, so that it goes through the machine easily. Otherwise, you do find that sometimes it won't go through if you line them up exactly. I find it's a little bit temperamental, this particular one. So line up my sentiment and line my die up over it. And I am going to just use a little piece from over here, a little piece of low tack tape just to hold that, because I don't want that moving at all, because I want to make sure that my sentiment is cut out exactly where I want it cut. So offset to the ends of my plates a little bit so they'll go through easily, and run that one through the machine as well. So those are my sentiment bits ready. Just save my bit of low tack tape. I reuse them a lot because you don't want them to be too sticky. So it's always a good idea to have a bit just stuck on your machine, get them stuck over on the other side of the desk for some strange reason. I could sort that out really. Okay, so noisy bangs, let's put that machine away, we don't need it again. So we've used those. I'll just put my dies away so I don't lose those either, given I seem to be losing everything today. So put those back in. It's a lovely die set, this Thoughtful Expression set. It does match its own stamp set, and there are some beautiful things, but there's some gorgeous flowers and leaves and all sorts in there. For another time, let's focus on what we're doing today. So we're now going to make up the card and do the stamping. So we're going to stamp first on the pink panels. They're all going to be the same. So we'll stamp those first. And which one shall I use on there? I can use Make a Wish or You're the Best. I'll use You're the Best. So I'm going to stamp that tone on tone. So Pretty in Pink on Pretty in Pink. I'm just going to stamp in the centre of each of the panels. So I'll just do all four. All four are going to be the same. There we go. Just clean that off and swap it for the Make a Wish. Isn't nearly as stained. Lovely. Now, how to get the effect like I've got here. Okay, I'll show you how. First thing we're going to do is stick these onto the base card. So onto our layer card. So I'll get myself my glue and I'll show you how I line them up. We know they're the right size because we cut it from the actual size piece, which was good. So we're going to start with the first one absolutely lined up with the top and the side. Okay. And then the next one, going to line up that corner, and it should fit exactly, if I get it straight, to the side of the card. So it's that corner and the side to get the second panel in. We do the same for the third. Corner to the side. Using Tombow because it does give me that little bit of wiggle room, which is wonderful. And then the final panel goes on the bottom. So again, we can line it up exactly with the card side and bottom, and the corner should meet exactly, which it does. Hooray! So that is how we're going to stick those cards on, because then we know exactly where we're going to stamp the other word, which is going to go in this area. So I've swapped the stamp already. I'm using Make a Wish. So we're going to stamp that again in the middle of the bits showing through, if you like. This is the underneath bit, but it's showing through the top. There we go. Now that's the stamping done, so I've got all my words there. But I thought that just looks a little bit plain on its own. So that's why I decided to run the whole thing, once it's complete, through an embossing folder. So I'm using So Swirly. So this is what it looks like before we've started. So it is, I think, a little bit plain. I don't know what you think, but it is. I think it's a little bit plain. And I think it just adds something to add the embossing. So I am going to have to go and use my big machine, which is over in the corner, and I just want to line it up on the folder to make sure I've got swirls round the edges mainly because I'll just move it over a little bit, I think, and get that bit there. That's better because I can see the swirls on here. I'm going to have my sentiment in the middle, so it doesn't matter about there, but I do want to make sure that I've got swirls in each of the corners. In fact, I might just angle it to get a bit more swirl in this bottom corner. Yeah, I think that's better. Right, so I'm going to go and run that through the machine and I will be back in a second. Love the stamp and die set, Margaret. Yeah, it's beautiful. You can see it in real life on Thursday. So that's me having just run it through the machine. So now you can see the difference. So now you can see the words have sort of come into the card and the swirls are up on top. I should have said always when you're using an embossing folder, you always use it with the Stampin' Up logo upwards, and that means that the image is going to come up through the card. Or you could use the negative image if you wanted, dirty card, but I wanted the coming up image, which is what I've got there. So remains just to put the card together. Just clean that and make sure the pinks come off, because pink is one of the colours that does stain. That's better. Right, so we'll make up the card. I folded that the wrong way. I've got cut lines coming through. Oh, I've lost my bone folder. Under my, that's it. I've told you before about this, but if you do have a cut mark where the cut is coming up when you don't want it to, then if you just use your bone folder along it, it just takes away that edge and makes it all right again. So there's my card. So I'm going to put my layer on first. That is lovely. You like that effect, Anne. I don't think I don't certainly use embossing folders enough, I don't think. And I think as a background, they can often just be so gorgeous. There's a lot of cards made just with an embossed plain background, but I think this checkerboard effect actually is very effective. You don't have to have words on it, obviously. You could just use a checkerboard effect without words or just images or something. Perhaps we ought to have a no words, only images card. I don't know. Right, so that's my layer. And then I can stick this layer on next. This is my next layer that's already made up. So it is important to do it in the order I've shown you, because if you try, I think if you tried to, for example, stamp these and make sure it's in the center, I think that'd be very difficult before you stuck the other pieces on. There we go. So that's exactly the effect I wanted, which is a fairly subtle effect of the words just behind there, because then I'm going to put the main one on top and it's just going to show up a little bit more. So I'm going to stick the sentiment layer to the next size die cut, and I'm going to stick that on with dimensionals, but I'm also going to make an interesting effect with my ribbon, which is I just want the ribbon to come up and down. So I'm going to use this ribbon. It's a very vanilla ribbon, satin ribbon. I think it's still available, but please, I'm sorry if it's not. I've got that wrong. So I'm going to use some tape, just a piece of tape across where I want the sentiment to go, which I just want a little bit above the middle. I don't like it exactly in the middle. It doesn't look right somehow. You need it just above. So I'm going to stick that tape on, rubbing it down well, because obviously I've got my embossing there now, so I want to make sure it sticks well. Take off the top. Oh, that went on the floor instead of in the bin. Never mind. But to do a sort of up and down ribbon, I'm just going to start at one end and make that slightly not straight, fold and stick again. So I'm just going to go along, folding at the top, sticking at the bottom, or sticking in the middle, but coming down to the bottom. And you can see how it leaves the ends sticking up, which is the effect I actually wanted. Oh, one more. No, I think that'll do actually. Now I play around with them a bit, stick them out a bit, because I've now lost my angle, because I want the the second angle. Let me do that again because I want this beauty of tape. I can keep taking it off and putting it back on again. I want that angle going that way. I had it almost parallel, which is not what I wanted. That's better. So I've got like V shapes of my ribbon, which is what I'm aiming for. So I've got them as level as I can make it, more or less. At the top, get my ribbon scissors. Always worth having proper ribbon scissors because I want to cut an angle. So there are my bits of ribbon, and you can see they're quite loose at the top, but just stuck across the middle. And then I find my dimensionals. Here we go. I'm just going to stick this on with a few dimensionals. It should do. Take off the backing. Make sure it's the right way up. That would always help. And then I stick that across the middle. So it's hiding the tape, but it's just holding the ribbon down if anything did happen. But it means you can see the ribbon up and up, above it and below it. So just curling up. So that's the effect of the ribbon. So you can see I've got my main sentiment sticking out, but I've got my words at the back with the sort of swirly effect. I hope you like that. I quite like it on the vanilla. I'm just going to finish the inside while I'm here, because otherwise I forget to do it once I've finished the live. So you need that embossing folder. That's fine, Margaret. Just give me an order on Thursday and I can get that all sorted for you. Not a problem. Have a look. I've got the catalogue for you as well, but have a look at the catalogue online, which you can find on my website. If you click on the annual catalogue link, it'll take you to the catalogue and you can have a look at it online. You'll get your own paper copy on Wednesday. Okay, hello, Kay. Nice to see you. Caught you live from Indiana. Indiana in the US. Wow. No idea what time it is there. Is it early morning there? I'm never quite sure which way time goes, but I think you're about 5 hours ahead of us, something like that. But how lovely. Cute card. Thank you. Let me just finish this stamping. What was I doing? Yes. Which I can't remember which one I was going to use in the middle. Sending lots of love. Let's use that. That's here. And I am going to use a little image inside. I know I've said that the theme for this Tech for Stampers that I've already put on the website is very much no images, just words. But I can't have not an image somewhere. So I'm going to use a little birthday cake. And we're just going to put it in the corner of the inside of the card. And I'm also going to do my envelope, just the corner of the envelope. Make sure I've got my envelope the right way up. You have no idea how many times I stamp envelopes upside down. So a bit more careful than I used to be now. So that's my cake. And then I'm using for the sentiment inside, sending you lots of love. And I'm just using the pink because I've still got that out. So that's fine. It matches the front of the card, my pretty in pink. So that is my card, the one I've made today, and the one I made that's on the web, the main picture on the website, because I won't be changing that. It's already done, that one. I've used different colours. So here I've used, just to tell you what the colours are. Oops, I got that stuck to the stamp. That's really stupid. Better put the stamps away. Let me just stick them together on there for now. So the colours I've used for the first one I made, I have used obviously basic white as my base card, and I've used fresh freesia as the colour card, and I've used two different stamps for the back of the card. I've used the same one because I decided on this one that You're the Best is just a bit too bright and takes away a little bit from the sentiment in the middle. So that's why I've done it slightly paler on this one. But here I've used fresh freesia to stamp on the white, and I've actually used gorgeous grape to stamp on those four and to stamp the main sentiment. So that's that one, and I've used a white ribbon there, which is now retired, that one, but you can get an iridescent trim in the new catalogue, which is very, very similar. So this one I've used Very Vanilla as my background and for my envelope, and I've used Pretty in Pink, one of the new in colours, and I've stamped in Pretty in Pink on both. So it doesn't, I don't know, which do you think is best? I quite like the subtlety of this one, but I do like, because I'm a purple person, I love the purple on this one. So, hey, I don't know which is best. See what you think. But I think it's just a different type of card. You could do this with images as well. I want to play around with this because it's so easy to make this card and cut the panels. But you could have words on one and images on the other. All sorts of ways of doing it. But yeah, I do love the embossing folder. There's several new embossing folders and I've got 2 of them out of the 3. I think there's 3 of these big new ones, and I've got 2. They are absolutely gorgeous, and I love the fact they are big enough to do a whole proper A4 size card, because if I'm asked to make cards of people, I'll often make bigger cards. So it's lovely to have an embossing folder that actually fits those, because most of our others just fit the A6. So there we go. These are what I've used, my Thoughtful Expressions dies and the Hooray for Surprises stamp set. So I hope you enjoyed that card. Thank you, Margaret, for saying thank you. 9:30 a.m. with you. Oh, Kaya, that's a bit early for me, but thank you for joining me. How lovely. You can go away and have a lovely coffee after that, just to make up. So I hope you enjoyed that card. As I said, I gave you all the measurements at the start, but they will all be on the blog, which will be published at 6 o'clock tonight. And because it's a blog hop, there will be a link in it to see the cards made by all my Tech for Stampers friends. And so you'll get a whole load of cards, which are all no images, just words. And I hope you really like those. Thank you for joining me today. If you like my YouTube channel and you're on that, please do like it. If you're on my group, then follow that, please, on Facebook. And all the information, as I say, is on the website, which is craftycarolscards.co.uk. Have a look at my bog off offer if you want any retired stuff, because I've got that wonderful bog off offer. The only thing I'd say, Kaya, is K is it? I can't see. Is that an A or an E at the end? I can't see that. You like the pink best, Margaret? I'm not sure. I like both. I'm quite pleased with both. Okay, the bog off offer does stand, but I would have to charge additional postage to send it to the US. That's my only comment on this. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you'll join me again at a Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Thank you for joining in the chat. It's always good to see people, even though I know it's a little bit of delay between what you type and when I see it, but I'm glad that you've engaged with me there. And lovely to meet you, Kay. I hope I see you again. Thanks for joining me, and bye for now. I'm going to stop the stream, and I will see you again next week, same time, same place.